Yes, hello, my name's Alfred Enoch. I'm an actor. I feel like every time I'm asked this question, I say something different. Favorite memory? You know what? It's not actually even a memory, but I saw it recently. I saw some behind the scenes footage of the first scene I think we ever shot, which was at Alnwick Castle. I thought it was at a train station, but it was the flying lesson with Madame Hooch in the first film. Matt Lewis corrected me on that today. And there was just this footage of us just messing around, like playing this game called Slaps, where someone showed me this. It was on the internet, and like we were just, it's that game where you put your hands like this and you have to slap, and if you get your hand out the way, I don't need to explain slaps. People know slaps. Not people can look up slaps. People have slaps. People have better things to do. But it was. It's not a memory, as I say, because I just watched it and I was like, oh, I have a vague memory of us like playing slaps a lot, but I didn't remember that particular moment. But there was something just so lovely about it, seeing us all just as kids, just like messing around and just having a nice time. So I suppose I say that because it kind of encapsulates what a lot of the experience was. We got older and, probably the games were not slaps, they were other things, right? But, it was, I think the thing that stays with me is the time spent with the people, and that's one of the nice things about conventions. You come, and I think it's very similar in a sense for people who come to conventions that maybe the panels are good and signatures, and you see people who are in the films and talk to them or whatever, but it feels to me that it's about a community of people coming together to share in something that they love and care about. And that thing bonds you and creates something, kind of glue that brings those people together. And similarly, we have our glue. We had this experience, this 10-year thing that we did that was massive. And so I come and I'm always like, oh, I get to see Matt, I get to see James and Ollie, I haven't seen Devin in a long time, whatever. It's like, it's Jesse, Rupert, I hadn't seen in ages. These things it's the kind of community. So I think it's a good example for that reason. Yeah. Viola is sensational. I don't always, I suppose, but I often sort of chuckle because, sometimes people are like, oh, she must be scary. And I'm like, she's fun, man. She's a good time. She's a laugh. She's obviously a sensational actor, and like what a kind of joy for me to get to do a job like that and work with her. And I always say this because I think it's important to make the statement, but people will always go, oh, you did How to Get Away with Murder, what's Viola Davis like? And she's great, and she's an extraordinary actor, and she's wonderful, and just a brilliant person in so many ways. But so's everyone else. Do you know what I mean? And that's not taking anything away from V. People know how kind of impressive and wonderful Viola is, but I don't think people kind of always know or how kind of brilliant the work. I think that whole company of actors were fantastic and did some amazing work and are brilliant people as well. So I always get in my head, I'm always like, I want to give them their props as well. It took me a while to finish watching the first season, but it might have been, we came back for season 3 and I had finally finished watching season 1 and I was like, oh, guys, I just watched the season 1. Well done, you all did really good work in that. It was a kind of extraordinary ride and an extraordinary experience, and so working with Viola was obviously a dream and a gift. But I would extend that to work with everyone else on that job because those actors are brilliant. People I'm very dear to, and the crew are very dear to me, and the crew was sensational. I suppose in many jobs people feel this. But as it's kind of my line of work, I can say that embarking on and working your way through a creative endeavor with people is a really bonding experience. And so I have so much love and affection for everyone who's on murder, you know, people who you live cheek by jowl with for like, or doing long hours for 3 years, and they all kind of made it what it was, and made the experience as positive an experience as it was. I suppose I'm going to interpret your question as a question about fantasy versus, I suppose, drama.
In real life.
Yeah, you know, not sure. I hope How to Get Away with Murder isn't real life for anyone, but
I mean the
it's certainly
law
heightened.
student.
Yeah. I mean, look, I one of the wonderful things about my job is you get to do different things, tell different stories, different kinds of stories, different media, you know. It's the variety that is one of the things that's so endlessly appealing about it. It makes me feel so fortunate to do what I do for a living. So it's hard to say preferring things, like it's hard to pick a favorite memory. It's like, you know, they have their wonders, you know, occupying both of those worlds. And they were both in their own ways, distinct ways, extraordinary jobs to do. So you know, I'd be hard pressed to give a preference, but they each kind of bring different things. The kind of scale of what Harry Potter was extraordinary, and the special effects and the visual effects, and you know, if you're in a magical world, that creates a lot of interesting possibilities what you can do on the screen. And boy, were those opportunities taken advantage of, and you know, you get this sort of extraordinary visual feat. How to Get Away with Murder is a different kind of proposition, and you know, a real, I suppose the magical thing about that world was how much happens to the characters and how much stuff they have to deal with, you know. So that's a kind of heightened world where, you know, people are having sex and falling in love and killing people, and like, you know, there's never a dull moment. So, you know, from an acting perspective, I suppose the interesting thing is like, goodness, how do you kind of imagine a kind of psychological path through all that, and you know, try and make it not just plot to plot to plot. You've got to fill those moments and give some kind of weight, some kind of substance. So different bits of both of those challenges made them exciting, made them satisfying. What, like a character from How to Get Away with Murder? Man, none of those people. Are you serious? I'm like, they're too busy killing people themselves. They're probably not going to be concentrating on my case. Having seen as much of How to Get Away with Murder I'd seen, I would make that recommendation to everyone else. Don't be hiring these people. Don't be hired. They'd be like, oh, that Annalise Keating, she's impressive. I was like, you do not want to get involved, man. You do not want to go there. You know, I've got my answer. I'm not sure I was in this scene or in this episode, but I can't remember. I saw the other day, I feel like I missed this, or I forgot it. Brian Tyree Henry was in an episode of How to Get Away with Murder and played Frank's attorney. So I'd hire him. He is such a brilliant actor, man. I love his work. So I don't know if I was just not working that day, or I wasn't in that story, or maybe it was after I wasn't on the show, but like I saw that and I was like, oh snap, that's cool. So yeah, I'd hire him.